Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our Ramadan series, Miracles from the Qur'an. I'm really excited about today's story because it's about one of my favorite people and someone who I really look up to, and her name was Maryam, peace be upon her. Now, Maryam is a very interesting person, and her story actually even starts before she was born. The Qur'an tells us in Surah Al Imran, chapter number 3, that before Maryam was even born, her mother made a very special dua. She really wanted her baby to be somebody who worshipped Allah all the time. And at that time, this is something that the boys of the community would do. There weren't a lot of girls who would spend their whole days worshiping Allah. But the mother of Maryam, peace be upon her, really wanted her child to do this. And when she had a daughter, she decided that her daughter was going to do this because that's what she had wanted for her. So Maryam, peace be upon her, grew up in the masjid. In Masjid al-Aqsa, actually, she had her own room that was there, and she spent her entire day and night worshiping Allah. Now, something very interesting about Maryam, peace be upon her, is that her uncle was actually the prophet of the time. He was the leader of the community there. His name was Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam. Now, Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam took care of Maryam. He made sure that she had everything that she needed, and he would visit her regularly as well. One day he came to visit her, and he noticed something very interesting in her room. He noticed that there were all kinds of fresh fruits there. Now, this might not seem super interesting to you or me. We can just go into our fridge and open it up and find different fruits. But in that time, keep in mind that they didn't have airplanes to bring fruits from one part of the world to another. They didn't have refrigerators to keep fruits fresh. So he was really surprised to see some fruits that were out of season, fruits that would not have grown at that time, or fruits that even may have grown somewhere else. So he asked her, Maryam, where did you get all of these fruits from? I'm the only one who comes to visit you. And she said something very powerful. She said, and we learned this in the Qur'an, that this is from Allah, and Allah can do anything. He can give anyone, anything, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. And this is easy for Allah. And Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam is so inspired by what she said, even though she's a lot younger than him, he's so inspired that he actually makes dua right there for something that he really wants. Because again, Maryam, peace be upon her, is saying, Allah can do anything. He can give anybody anything. So Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam makes dua for something that he really wants. And something that he really wanted was a child. Because we learn in the Qur'an that he was very elderly, but he and his wife did not have any children, and they really wanted a child. So he makes dua for a child right then and there. And actually, Allah tells him through the angels that you're going to have a son. And this was one of the miracles actually of Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam. Now later, as Maryam, peace be upon her, continues to worship Allah, Allah actually sends a very special message to her as well. He sent angel Jibreel alayhi salam to tell Maryam, peace be upon her, that she was going to have a baby. Now, Maryam, peace be upon her, was a little bit confused at first because she says, how can I have a baby? I'm not married. And the angel says, Allah can do anything. Allah says be, and it is. When Allah wants something to happen, it's going to happen. And you've been chosen as the means for this miracle. And Allah actually says this in the Qur'an. He says that He chose Maryam and He purified her and He chose her as being very special among all the women of the world. So Maryam, peace be upon her, does have a baby boy, and he's a very special baby. Now, when she has her baby boy, whose name we learn in the Qur'an is Isa alayhi salam, he's also a prophet, she's thinking that she has to go back home with her baby, and people are going to ask all kinds of questions. And so one of the things that Allah tells her in that moment is don't answer anybody's question. If people talk to you, just point to your baby. Now, we might think, okay, if I point to a baby, what's really going to happen? But when Maryam, peace be upon her, goes back to her community and people start asking her questions, she does what Allah said. She points to her baby, and miraculously, baby Prophet Isa alayhi salam starts speaking. Now, I don't know about y'all, I've never seen a baby speak. They make cute noises, but they don't use words like we do. And this is one of the miracles of Allah, that Prophet Isa alayhi salam spoke as a baby. And he said to the people that he's a servant of Allah, he's a prophet, he's a messenger. And he actually really surprises all of the people because they've never seen a baby talk before. And this is not even the only miracle of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. As Prophet Isa alayhi salam grew up, just like his mom, he was someone who was very dedicated to Allah. And Allah actually sent many more miracles to the world through Prophet Isa alayhi salam as well. And I'll give a few examples. One of my favorite ones is that Prophet Isa alayhi salam could actually mold a bird out of clay blow into it and it would actually become a real bird. Now, if we have Play-Doh at home or we have clay at home and we try to sculpt something, you can sculpt it, but it's not going to be alive. We cannot make it live. This was from Allah. One of the other miracles of Prophet Isa alayhi salam that Allah allowed him to perform is that he was able to heal people who were sick from illnesses that didn't have a cure, even people who were blind. We also learn that he was able to bring people back to life after they had passed away, but none of this was from himself. This was all from Allah. And Prophet Isa alayhi salam told the people about this. He said, this is not from me, this is from Allah, so worship Allah. Now, this story of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, and there's so many more stories and so much more that we could talk about, but one of my favorite parts about the story of Isa alayhi salam and his mother and their family is that all of these people were people who were very committed to Allah. They put Allah first in their lives. They tried to do their best and they trusted Allah and they knew that Allah can do anything. If we think back to Maryam, peace be upon her, telling her uncle, Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam, that Allah can give anybody anything, anytime, anywhere, even if it seems impossible. That's a lesson I take from this story. And it's one of my favorite stories for that reason. Because sometimes when we make dua, we forget who we're talking to. We might make dua and we might think, oh, I'll make this dua, but I don't really think it's going to happen. We have to make dua and remember that Allah can give us anything. When we make dua, we shouldn't think about our ability. We should think about Allah's ability, and Allah is able to do everything. So when you make dua, remember who you are talking to. You're talking to Allah who can create something out of nothing. You're talking to Allah who can make fruits grow out of season. You're talking to Allah who can send all kinds of miracles like the ones we've been learning about in this series. And I know sometimes when we talk about miracles, we might think, well, I'm just a regular person. Is Allah going to send a miracle to me? Absolutely. Our miracles might look different than the miracles that the prophets received, but it doesn't mean that Allah is not sending miracles in our lives as well. And it doesn't mean that Allah won't help us as well. So as we make dua during this month, remember that the same Allah who sent all of these miracles to all of these special people is the same Allah who you are talking to. So make your du'as in that way. Remember that Allah can give you what you're asking for. So with that, we'll call it a day, and I'll see y'all in our next storytime session. Assalamu alaikum.